My name is Amy Swigert, and I am chair for House District 79. And for those of you who don't know, House District 79 is the very northernmost part of DeKalb County. And up until about 2 years ago, we were the reddest part of DeKalb County. But in 2018, thanks to the work of this committee and thanks to the work of so many just regular everyday folks coming out to make a change and make a difference in our district, we were able to flip our state house seat, our state senate seat, and we were able to elect our next speaker. And I was so honored to be asked to introduce Lucy McBath to you all because she's just such a special person. The very first time I had the opportunity to speak one-on-one with Lucy, it was at a campaign kickoff in 2018 in Chamblee. And I had so many things I wanted to talk to her about, but I knew in the back of my mind, I had the unfortunate obligation of telling her about my neighbors, Jeff and Margaret Binkley. And the Binkleys and I and my family, we've lived in the same neighborhood for many, many years. And unfortunately, right before that event in Chamblee, Jeff and Margaret lost their beautiful daughter, Maura, who is just a few years older than my daughter, to a shooting in the Tallahassee yoga studio. And so I knew I had to tell Lucy about them. And before I could even get the words out of my mouth, Lucy just grabbed my arm and said, I have to talk to them. I have to talk to them. And not only did she talk to them, but she visited them in their home. She invited them to Washington, D.C. She had them come to the State of the Union. And Jeff Binkley was able to testify in front of Congress. And so I just think that sums up who Lucy is. She is someone with enormous heart and someone who really knows how to put pain and turn it into purpose. And so I'm just so proud of her and that she's my congresswoman. And so I wanted to thank Lucy for embracing the Binkleys. And I wanted to thank her for passing universal background checks. I wanted to thank her for fighting to lower drug costs. I wanted to thank her for the work she did to create programs that help veterans. She just is a special, special person, and we have to get her reelected, y'all. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my Congresswoman, Lucy McBath.
Thank you for that great introduction, and thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you. And I'm sorry I'm going to be a little quick. I'm running from one event to the next, but I'm so excited to be with you this afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for making this event today, making it happen. And I also want to just take a moment to thank Chairman John Jackson of the DeKalb Dems. Thank you so much for doing this today. And also Nikema Williams. We owe you such a great debt of gratitude for all that you continue to do for Georgia politics. You are a force to be reckoned with. I can't wait to get you in Washington because, yes, I need some help. I need you and Carolyn there to help us really build the Georgia political dynamics. We're just such a force to be reckoned with, and I need help from women like you to help me build this train and run this train in Washington. But thank you so much for the DeKalb Dems for hosting this event today. And thank you for all the much needed work that you're doing right here at home, right here in my own backyard. Your dedication and your never ending spirit and the pursuit of Georgia politics that works for everyone. Georgia politics that works for every one of us. That's needed now more than ever before. I am Congresswoman Lucy McBath. I represent Georgia's 6th Congressional District. I think most of you know how I've actually come to the politics here in Georgia. And I now represent the seat that was once held by Newt Gingrich. And yes, I'm the first minority in the history of Georgia to ever hold this seat. And we know that I came to politics by a racially motivated shooting of my son, Jordan. But the thing that we've seen recently is that Jordan's story is unfortunately not unique. We see this happening again and again and again throughout the country. So I know that we've got a lot of work to do yet. And I know that we have to join forces. We all have to work together to make sure that this country is more equal and more just, and that Georgia is more equal and more just. This is the new South, I always like to say, and it must represent and it must look like the diversity of people that live and work here in our communities every single day. And that means that we'll be counting on every single one of us. We all have to stand together now. No one operating in silos anymore. Every one of us on this ticket must work together. Every volunteer must work together. There's so much at stake, and no one individual person can fix the problems that Georgia has, that the nation has. But we all have to work together, because working together is making sure that we are progressively advocating for change at every level, whether it be state, federal, the local level, all of us fighting hand in hand for the change that we so desperately need in this country. We have to make sure that we are putting the country back together again. This, as it has been said earlier by my colleagues, Ayanna Pressley and Barbara Lee, and what they've said is absolutely true. We are at a crossroads in this nation right now. This election will determine what happens to the future of our generations and our communities going forward. And for us to stand by now and refuse to act, we are complicit in dismantling that sense of democracy that everyone in this country deserves, that everyone in Georgia deserves, every one of our constituents deserves. We can fix these problems together, but we have to be willing to stand together in unity and move and go forward in unity together. I implore everyone that is on this call today, please remain committed to our futures. Remain committed past today, past tomorrow, past this week, past this month. Remain committed to the very end. Our very lives depend upon it. Just as the DeKalb Democrats have done here in Georgia, you know, we have to be committed. We cannot be fair weathered. Commit your life to something that is meaningful and vital, and that is making sure that we elect Democrats up and down the ballot, that we elect Vice President Biden, and we elect Kamala Harris to the White House. It's imperative that we do so. Make sure that we're electing Democrats that represent our morals and our values all across the ticket here in Georgia. I know what it's like to commit your life to something that you believe in fighting for, something that is more fair, something that is more just, fighting for safety in our country. And that's what we're fighting for when we fight for this ticket. That's who we're electing when we elect Vice President Biden and Kamala Harris on this ticket. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this ticket, the most dynamic ticket that I believe that we've ever had in the history of Georgia since I've been living here. I'm glad to be a part of that ticket, and I'm glad to stand and fight with every single one of you to make sure that that dream becomes a fruition for every one of us. I find myself here fighting with you because I know how much is at stake. I know the stakes are high right now, and the stakes will even be higher if we do not do what we must do to make sure that this ticket is viable in November. I believe that what we've accomplished before up to now is just a tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that we can do together, and we've got to be able to win this fight. We're faced with extremism in this country unlike anything we have ever seen before. And trust me, there on the Hill in Washington, I can't even tell you all that we have experienced and all that we have seen. I want you to understand and know that my colleagues and I work every single day trying to be bridge builders, trying to make sure that everyone in this country, whether they be Democrat or Republican or independent or libertarian, has the ability to be able to live truly that sense of democracy that we all deserve. I don't want to see the country as divided as it is. None of my colleagues does. None of us do. So that is the reason why we must do our due diligence to make sure that we're fighting with every breath of our being to make sure that we are building bridges for investment in the nation for every one of us that has either if we've migrated here or we were brought here. We are all Americans, and that is what we must do here in Georgia to make sure we completely invest in the American dream for every single one of us. We will win this fight. I know we will, but we've got a lot of work to do yet. November 3rd is still a long way away. Continue to do what you're doing. Thank you so much, the Democratic Party of Georgia. Thank you so much, DeKalb Dems, for the investment and the time and the value you continue to make. You are really, really making a difference, and I look forward to us winning this election strong in November.